Over the past week or so, I had been staying at my aunt's due to recently reconnecting with her. I hadn't spoken to her in about 10 years prior before I had visited. I'm 18. I don't have many memories of my aunt, but from what I can remember, she seemed to be kind. A little weird, but that never hurt anybody. She would always bring me random gifts whenever she visited. Things like a wooden toy car or a metal horse figurine. Easy to say, as a kid, I loved her. I was honestly devastated when her and my mother got into an argument, serious enough for them to stop talking. My mom would never tell me what it was about, and I would feel too awkward to bring it up around my aunt. Anyway, after I had messaged her on Facebook and we had arranged everything, I packed my bags with a few weeks' worth of clothing, basic necessities like a toothbrush, toothpaste, and deodorant. I took a 2-hour train ride and an even longer taxi trip, but I finally arrived. The second I stepped inside, I was greeted by Aunt Lucy and flooded with old memories I didn't even know that I had. The atmosphere of the house was a warm one, that's for sure, although I did feel a slight unease at random times for the first few hours, like my bones would shoot out random warning signs or the occasional feeling of being watched. Like a spider on a web in the darkest corner of the house was hidden away plotting to crawl over me at night. I brushed it off as feeling slightly awkward as I hadn't seen my aunt in so long. I look back at this now and cringe. My body's natural survival senses were pinging off the charts and I chose to ignore them. I think a lot of people are guilty of this. I understand why I ignored them because 90% of the time when I get such feelings, they usually are inaccurate, but god damn is hindsight a bitch. Lucy showed me around her house. It was pretty much unchanged from my childhood memories. She didn't have a spare room, so I would be sleeping on the sofa, which was fine with me. I had had my fair share of uncomfortable sofa nights. Sorry about the lack of a bed. I'm sure the sofa will suffice though. It's surprisingly comfortable, she laughed. Oh yeah, it's fine. I don't care, but where's your bathroom? I wasn't able to stop on the way here, I awkwardly muttered. It's upstairs, straight down the hall. There's one down here, but I need you to stay out of it, okay? The plumbing has gone haywire and I don't particularly fancy another flood of sewage. I made that mistake last time. She smiled. Something seemed off. Maybe she was embarrassed about having a blocked toilet. I'm not sure why though. It's a pretty common occurrence, I thought to myself. I shrugged it off because I could feel myself looking into things too deep. I proceeded to use the upstairs bathroom and carry on with my day. Now that I was older and I could have a conversation, I realized how cool and down-to-earth Lucy actually was, which I'm grateful for as I was slightly worried that I would get to her house and she would be stuck up or something. Luckily, that wasn't the case. The first 2 days went by perfectly. Lucy had dug out what seemed to be an endless amount of old photographs. It was pretty interesting seeing her and my mom slowly growing up. They seemed really close back then. Crazy how time changes things. After a few hours of rummaging through photos, I realized how heavy my eyelids had become and I decided it was probably time to go to sleep. After my aunt and I said goodnight to each other, I tried my hardest to find a semi-comfortable spot on the sofa and I drifted off. I woke up around 2 a.m. to a faint scratching sound. It sounded like it was coming from the ceiling directly near the bathroom. I listened to it for about 10 minutes, having no clue what it could be. Something trapped in the wall? No, it couldn't be. It sounded further than directly above the bathroom. Was it in the attic? It had to be, as there weren't any rooms on the second floor that would be above the downstairs bathroom. I was too tired at this point to realize how that couldn't be possible. Something had to be above it. My mind swirled through thoughts of a random animal somehow making its way up there, trapped and eventually starving to death. It didn't seem like a fun way to die. The scratching was irregular at first, but quickly gained a steady rhythm. 2 quick scratches, then 2 slow scratches. I tried to sleep through it, but it was very distracting. I decided I was going to go check just to ease my mind. I tiptoed up the stairs, trying to avoid as much sound as possible. The last thing that I wanted to do was wake up Lucy. Once I reached the top, I tried to find the room that was above the downstairs bathroom. There wasn't one. Only a wall. That didn't make any sense. What would be the reason for this? Wouldn't there just be empty space behind it that it could be used in some way? My aunt's house was old. It was passed down from her parents, but even so, I had never seen a house layout like this. The scratching was clearer now. It was definitely coming from behind the wall. I was pretty creeped out at this point, so I decided to head back downstairs to check the bathroom. The bathroom door was locked. Shit. I didn't want to start digging through my aunt's things, but I also didn't want to wake her up like a child would when they have thrown up or needed their parent to change their bed sheets. I made my way into the kitchen and started to open up the drawers, silently digging around like a raccoon in the trash. It took 20 minutes, all while the thing above the bathroom was still scratching, but I finally found it. It was in a plastic container along with random keys. It had a key ring with the words "downstairs bathroom" scribbled on it. How convenient. I stood at the bathroom door with the key, not sure if I wanted to open it. My stomach had a burning feeling and I was starting to feel sick. I had never had goosebumps as big as I had at that moment. It quickly occurred to me that I was scared. But of what? The second I turned the key, the scratching stopped. Whatever was in the hidden room above the bathroom knew I was there. I slowly swung open the door. I was immediately hit with an insanely cold draft and a strange smell, almost like dried meat. The bathroom was pitch black. If I had tried to wave my hand in front of my face, I'm sure I wouldn't have seen it. I turned around and started walking back to the coffee table next to the sofa where my phone laid. I left the bathroom door open when I did this, not wanting to have it open again and possibly have the creaking wake up Lucy. This is one of the biggest mistakes I have ever made. Once I had grabbed my phone, I shined the flashlight into the darkness of the bathroom. It seemed ordinary except one bone-chilling feature. Right in the middle of the ceiling was the type of hatch that would usually lead to an attic. And it was completely open. My hair stood on edge as I looked into the latch from the safety of the bathroom doorway. The darkness was so immense not even my phone flashlight could reach it. I quickly shut the door and locked it again. At that point, I had realized the scratching had stopped. Maybe the sound of the door opening scared whatever animal was hiding up there, I can remember thinking to myself. I returned to the sofa and laid down, wondering what it could have been. The sudden quietness of the house combined with my tiredness made the perfect recipe for falling asleep quickly. Neglecting to think about my aunt had hidden the key in the first place. I woke up at 9 a.m. on the dot. The sun was shining through the curtains and I could smell the familiar scent of toast. I yawned and hopped out of bed, suddenly remembering the strange scratching sound from last night. I decided I was going to ask my aunt about it. "Good morning, sleepyhead. You want some toast? I was going to wake you up to see if you wanted some anyway," she asked. "Nah, I'm okay. Not hungry just yet." "Hey, I wanted to ask you about the scratching last night. I'm not sure if you heard it, but it sounded like an animal or something was trapped," I told her through a yawn. "Oh, yeah, don't worry about that. I'm going to call pest control after you go home. I don't want it to ruin your stay." "Anyway, I think it's just bats or something," she nonchalantly said. "Oh, that might explain the smell when I opened the bathroom to check," I began to say. "Wait, you did what?" she asked, suddenly very alarmed. "Shit, sorry, I wasn't going to open it, but the scratching was loud. It sounded like it was coming from behind the wall above the bathroom," I tried to explain. Her face became ghost white. "Did you ever look away from the bathroom? Was the hatch open in any way, even a little bit? Please, this is really important," she asked me, looking horrified. "Yeah, I left it open going to get my phone for a flashlight. The latch was wide open. You didn't leave it like that? Are you okay, Lucy? I don't think a bat or anything got out. I would have hurt its wings. I'm really sorry. I just wanted to see what the scratching could be," I told her, now scared myself. "Oh God. Oh God. Oh God," Lucy began repeating while going to the drawer where the bathroom key was located. She grabbed it with shaking hands. Her face looked deathly. "What's going on? What was in there?" I begged her. She rushed over to the door and took a deep breath before unlocking it. The second it opened, she nearly fainted, using the door frame as support. I rushed over to her and helped her to the sofa. "What's wrong, Lucy? Please," I desperately asked her. The Twisty Man. The Twisty Man has escaped. Oh God. Oh God. She began to cry. "The Twisty Man? Who's the Twisty Man?" I asked her, beginning to feel deathly sick. She took a deep breath and began. "When I was a kid, a lot younger than you, about 10, I started to have nightmares. Nowadays, I think it would be called sleep paralysis. But a tall man made of darkness with giant flat white circles with swirls on them as eyes constantly turning. He would stand in the corner of my bedroom and watch me. My parents would always tell me it was just a nightmare, but it felt too real. Something about him. I called him the Twisty Man. The way his lifeless swirls would stare into my eyes, the coldness that always seemed to surround him, the smell of old meat. Everything was wrong about him. Usually when he stood in the corner of my room and terrorized my nights, I would be unable to move, unable to scream. One day he decided he was bored with the corners and he started to move closer to me. That finally broke my silence and caused my dad to come rushing in, armed with a baseball bat. He saw the Twisty Man. He saw the fucking thing. It wasn't in my head. It was real." She paused to cry for a few minutes. "The creature was real. My dad hit whatever it was with a baseball bat, and suddenly I felt a blow against my back, knocking the wind out of me. My dad didn't notice, though. He hit the Twisty Man's leg. I felt mine crack. Somehow this thing was connected to me. I felt the pain it felt. I finally managed to scream out to my dad that he was hurting me. I told him that I could feel whatever the creature was feeling that was now sprawled out on the floor, scratching at it with its bony finger. My dad came up with a solution to trap it. Keep whatever it was locked away. He didn't want to call the police as they would either shoot the thing or send it to get tested by the government. Either one would surely kill me. We trapped it behind the wall above the bathroom. You opened the door, she told me, looking green. I sat in silence trying to think of what to say when I heard it. The scratching sound. It was right behind us.